Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we are currently working on converting our road storage to int3s instead of building hexes. So we are currently spawning road types, so our index is the same thing that we actually just did. So let's go back up here, and we can just copy this and paste this right here. It's exactly the same thing. There we go. And then our previous hex and our next hex. Yeah, we need to just go ahead and essentially grab the building hex based on this index. So manager.getBuildingHex by index. And then we would need to just pass in, we have an int3 indices. Realistically, for the building hex, for the building it matters, but for the building hex it shouldn't. But we do need them for right now. So our road index -1 is our building index. So we will pass that instead of I. And then it's expecting parenthesis, but it's also not liking cannot convert from int3 to int. Oh, this is an int3. What am I talking about? Okay, all we need is that. Then this would be manager.getBuildingHex by index, our road index +1. And that compiles. Fascinating stuff. Now, I'm not convinced that this is going to be functional. Well, actually it should be. And we should be able to compare things a lot more intelligently now. But let's first, before we dive into that, let's make sure that everything is working the same. It should be, but we may have broken something horribly. We'll find out. Well, no errors so far, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. We may have fundamentally broken something. Realistically, in this generation, I don't expect there to be issues. The issues would be in generating the biomes and particularly the buildings. But with any luck, it's just a drop-in replacement. I really hope it is. Come on. Excellent. Okay. No errors there. Hey, that looks right. Yeah, looks like a drop-in replacement. Fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and purchase a piece of land. Create a route here. Now, I don't necessarily expect that this is just going to work out of the box, but I guess we'll find out. So we will go back into edit route mode, and there we go. I mean, it looks good in this world hex. What about in this one? Okay, yep. It did not fix it out of the box, but we have exactly the same thing going on that we did before, except now we have access to an int3 instead of a building hex. And that's actually a huge deal, because an int3 is so much more concrete, and with a reference to a hex manager, we can do so much more with an int3. So we can go ahead and still potentially do road.indexOf. I do want to check here. C# list index of speed. How fast is that? Is there a faster solution? Could have a dictionary for that. Sort it using list.sort, and then use the binary search method. Yeah, I don't want to sort the list. Okay, well, I think we'll just leave it the way it is right now. This is... I'll just put in a potential optimization. Index of isn't the fastest. Maybe come up with another solution. Okay, so we're going to need to rethink how we're doing the is adjacent on road a little bit, because it clearly isn't working. So we have our road that we're passing in, and I think we're passing in the correct road. So if we're only on one road, we pass in the on road. If we are on multiple roads, we do it for each. And then only return if it's actually adjacent. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because it'll keep going through until it finds one that they're adjacent on, or until it goes through all of them, and then it'll just return 1,000,000. So that should be fine. So our A index and our B index is fine. We will go ahead and do, if either of them is not on the road, then we return false. However, one thing we should do at this point, before we run that check, is we should immediately run the check that we were running. Where was that? I think we were doing that up here. Yeah, we were doing that here. So realistically, if that's true, it shouldn't get down here. But I would kind of like to do that here. So we'll go ahead and do, if it's on a different world or biome hex here. So then if a.world hex is not equal to b.world hex, or a.biome hex is not equal to b.biome hex, if either of those are true, then we return true, that it is adjacent on the road. Then we check to see if they're on the same road. If not, we return false. And I don't think we need this realistically. I think this is covered here. I think we can safely get rid of that. And then we check our distance. Okay. Now, there is a potentially faster way to do this, but it's currently just a nebulous concept in my mind, and I need to develop it a little bit here. What I'm thinking is perhaps instead of using road.indexOf, we could use the adjacencies. Well, no, that wouldn't really determine whether it was actually connected or not. Then we might have two roads be connected that aren't actually connected, because they can be adjacent while not being connected. So I think this is the best way of doing it. Now, one thing we could potentially do is do some sort of a check. I mean, we do that here pretty much. So let's just go ahead and run this. I don't expect this to fix the problem, but I expect it to potentially give us a little bit more data on what's going on. So let's see here. And even so, converting that list into int3s is still very, very handy for us, because we can do all sorts of things with int3s that we could not do with building hexes. All of those functions that the hex manager has are now available to us. Okay, come on. You can do it. Apparently I can't. I mean, it can, just very, very slowly. Yeah, I have to assume that this is just because of the memory leak in the editor, and that this wouldn't happen in an actual build. Okay, so let's go ahead and skip that. And again, I don't expect this to fix anything. But let's go ahead and we need to purchase land. So let's purchase land, right? We'll purchase this mall. We'll demolish the mall. Create a route, select the route, zoom on out. And we're going to head right up over here. So we will just go here. Okay, so we can see it works great here. And as usual, it's just a straight shot here. So with that being the case, I mean, like I said, I didn't expect that to work. That was a stepping stone. But because it didn't work, I'm also a little bit stumped. I'm not entirely sure what's happening here. It works great here. Connects up to the road and then just follows the road on out of the hex. It would make a lot more sense to me if it worked here and then didn't work all the way up to the end. But the fact that it works in the final hex, that's what really baffles me. There's clearly something going on here. Like, I feel like this is working fine. And maybe, like, the int 3s that we're passing in aren't correct. Aren't what I'm expecting. That's a possibility. We passing current. If it's not on the closed list, then we generate up the G, H, and F. Otherwise, we set up a temporary G to check if this is a better path. With it passing in current, which is a building. Building current equals open list 0. And that's all as expected. We're already running a check here. If from building.location.worldhex is not equal to location.worldhex, we return 1. I think... like, the weirdest thing is that it happens at the beginning and the end. It works properly, and just in the middle it doesn't. That's what's really baffling me here. And the question I have is, perhaps it has something to do with us passing in a destination? But no, it doesn't. I'm officially very, very baffled by this. So, like, we've already got this going on. We don't need that anymore because we have this in here. And in fact, we can do this before we do the index ofs. Because if we do this, if we return true, we don't need to know the indexes. So that's a small optimization that we can do there. But as far as this goes, why are we getting the world hex and the biome hex store? Oh, because we need the on-road? I suppose. And we're just doing it by index, so it's plenty fast. So yeah, I think this is all working. But the problem is that when we're not on the world hex... Hang on. Hang on, I just had a thought. What if the problem is in our Pathfind in world hexes? Are we including the last position? So we do include current. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here. I have a thought, and I'm going to attempt to flesh it out a bit in between episodes here. And when we come back, I think I might maybe know what's going on. We'll find out next time. See you all then.